Thank you, Rhea. And I just want to say that you're in for a real treat with Kumu Ramsay Taum. He brings an amazing spiritual wealth with him. And I'm already feeling brother with you. Kumu Ramsay. Let's give him a hand.
Wasn't that great? Open another hand. I really needed to hear that this morning. I feel better already. Aloha mai kako. Aloha. Aloha. Good to see you all. Just looking at you all is healing. It's wonderful. For those of you we haven't met, aloha. My name's Kumu Ramsay Taum. And Reverend Tim, thanks for having me back. And all of you. Especially during this very special celebration that this ohana is going through this time. And I have to agree, we had a wonderful chat this week and an opportunity to really get to really explore where we're going, what's happening. And I asked Reverend Tim that. I said, as you move forward, what does the island look like? What does that destination look like? And how can these words this morning, the message, really help in kind of helping to get there? And so we had a wonderful time. Thank you for that time together. Makahiki, this very special time of year in Hawaii, as you're celebrating it, many of us know and hear the word most often at the end or the beginning of the year. We say, Hau'oli makahiki ho. Have you heard that before? Hau'oli makahiki ho. Hau'oli, to happy, to be happy about it. The word ho means to repeat, renew, brand new. Makahiki, this notion of a new year, that's one definition of it. Hau'oli makahiki ho. But today we're going to talk about makahiki, the time of re. Everyone say that, the time of re. Yeah, because as we all know, there's so many things that we revisit, redo. And today I'm going to recycle my slides. Recycle and reuse and repeat some of the messages that we've shared here with one another, because sometimes it's important to know where we come from, to know where we are, but also to know where we're going. But before we continue this presentation, I'd like to revisit this slide. I think one of the first times I shared some time with you, I had taken a walk in the morning. This is over at Cocoa Head. And I was asking for some guidance because I wasn't quite sure what I was going to say. And I looked up behind me. This was an early morning walk, and this is what I saw. This was the sun rising over Cocoa Head. Wasn't that beautiful? And it reminded me that that even in the darkest moments, there is light. The sun will rise again. Now, whether or not we're aware or open and prepared to receive that and to see that, that's the question. And so, as we start this new journey together, I want to say happy birthday. Hau'oli lahanau. Give yourselves a hand. 80 years of Makahiki. And interesting, the number 8 in Hawaiian is hevalu. And there's a concept in the practices of to see the world differently, to see ourselves differently. Everyone say maka. It's not just I. Maka also refers to see, all of the things that have to do with the I. And when you say maka and you add the word valu, as in 8, valu, maka valu, it talks about having 8 eyes, being able to see the world differently, to recognize that there are different ways that we see things. As Ralph and I sit here, there is an inner man as well as an outer man. The inner being as well as the outer being. While the outer being has 2 eyes, 2 makalua, the inner being also has 2 eyes, makalua. So when you add those together, that's 4 eyes, makaha. And yet standing in front of Ralph, we're looking at one and I'm going, makaha, 4 plus 4, makavalu. 8 eyes. So while I may physically see the world one way, the spirit sees it another. In the same way that Ralph may see the world, his spirit sees it another way as well. So oftentimes when we're sitting in the room, it's not just us looking at eye to eye, but it's makavalu, different ways of living. And after 80 years, you begin to see the world differently, right? It's not what it was, but it also promises not to be what we think it's going to be. It's going to be what we make it. So happy birthday, Haoli Lahanau, the Ha that comes from within. Happy birthday. Now, while we were speaking the other day, it sounds to me that despite the fact that, yes, we all have challenges in Makavalu, we see things differently, things are looking up. Right? And why is that important? Because that morning I looked up and I saw that light. Today, as we look forward and look up, there's a saying in Hawaii, when things look down, look up. Yeah? When things look down, look up. You don't always have to be looking out to look right. Right? So when things look down, look up. And I have to say this because in Hawaii, there wasn't anything that we ever did, or kupuna ever did, without looking up. Because the traditions and the practices of what we did on the ground are guided by the signs in the heavens. We always looked to the heavens. Whether it was stars, whether it was planets, whether it was the sun, whether it was the birds, whether it was the clouds, whether it was the wind, we looked to the heavens because it guided us and told us what we needed to do on the ground. So when things look down, we look up, right? So this is an image that my friend Herb Connie did, and it reminds us of our kilolanis, those who look to the heavens for the signs, the whole Ailona. This is a picture of my friend Nainoa Thompson, who helped to guide Hokulea around the globe, this island called Earth, 40,000 plus miles in less than 3 years. You don't do that by not looking up. And he looked up, and here he is taking a reading, understanding, direction. Now, what's interesting, I really enjoyed your presentation your sharing last weekend, by the way. For those of you that weren't here, may not have heard, Reverend Tim is an astronomer, actually, by aspiration. Is that correct? Well, our kupuna, we're all astronomers. We always look to the heavens. And this is what we're doing here, is looking to the heavens to be guided by what's there. And what's interesting, Reverend Tim, you may appreciate this, but there's a concept that when you're looking to the stars, I think we've been told, scientists told us that the stars the furthest away are thousands, if not millions of years old. Is that true? You heard that? Right? So in other words, when they're flashing back at us, some of them may not even be there anymore. We're experiencing the past when we're looking to those stars. And what I find interesting is that here we have navigators of ancient times bringing these concepts and principles of navigating life forward for all of us to know, that says, look to the stars, look to the heavens, to move into the future. That's what Nainoa was doing in this picture. He's navigating his canoe. He's navigating, as we are all navigating, looking to the future by what? Looking to the past. Every star he's looking at is past. That is kupuna. That's ancestors. That is the past. That is our history, and yet we're relying on that history to get us to the future. Isn't that powerful? And many of us are arguing over or having a debate over the fact that some of us are looking to that in a different way. We're all looking at the past in order to understand the future. And where are we doing it from? The present. And we have to be careful as we don't get caught in the past as we start navigating into the future. And Makahiki happens to be one of those times that we can actually challenge that. This is about challenging natural time versus artificial time. Artificial time is that calendar, it's that schedule, it's the thing that we begin to put down. And yet we all know, as with mice and men, the plans that we lay down sometimes just go awry. Natural time takes over. As we've heard today, going down the street 80 miles an hour, natural time. Right? Want to make up time? We never know. Friends, family. My own father recently made his transition. 81 years he would be, October 1st. But it was a reminder that as some step out, we must step in. The opportunity is to fill the space, to fill the gap, so that we can continue as a family to move forward. So natural time, our kupuna looked to natural time, and one of the things they looked at the heavens was the moon. We call this Kaulana Mahina. This is the schedule. This is the calendar. And this calendar changes. It's not exact like the calendar that most of us run through. There's 3 different phases. Mahina Ho'onui, Mahina Poi Poi, and Mahina Emi. And we happen to be in the period of Mahina Poi Poi. How many of you saw the beautiful full moon the other night? Wasn't that beautiful? Mahialani. Well, tonight is La'au Kulua. This is the second of the La'au moons. We have La'au Kahi and La'au Kulua, the second. And it talks about the repeating of certain things. So 2 nights in a row. Now, there's an interesting about repeating. Remember, this is the time of re. La'au Kulua is the second night, and there's 2 different kinds of calendars. One for the fishermen and one for farmers. Lawai'a and Mahiai. So for those of you who want to go fishing, tonight's a good night. Go fishing. For those of you who want to plant, don't stick with the small stuff. Make the big stuff, right? To planting ulu trees or mai'a, the banana. Now, spiritually, what this is really telling us, now is the time to cast your net. Now is the time to go deeper. Some of you may remember the story where Jesus and his disciples take the boat out. And Jesus says, go, keep going farther. And the disciples say, hey, bro, we've never been out this far before. Keep on going, brother. Go. And they keep going, and they sense this fear and anxiety. We haven't been this deep before. Keep on going. They're so far out, they can't see land. Oh, man. All of a sudden, this trepidation. Okay, right here. Stop. Drop your nets. Go. And they drop the nets, and for the first time, this ship starts to shake and move. And sure enough, they pull up this net. It's just filled with fish. To their surprise. Wow. You know, that message, fishing, the net, each net has eyes. The maka. And by casting those eyes into deeper places, sometimes dark places, sometimes we catch things we don't expect. Sometimes we have to look deep. We have to look beyond the shores, beyond the places of our comfort zones, to begin to catch the things that have been eluding us only because of our fear to leave the shore, to leave those places that are comfortable. And that's what Jesus was saying. He was saying, you got to go deeper. Sometimes you have to throw your nets in places you're not comfortable. This is the fishing. Yeah? And when you plant the tree like ulu. Ulu means to rise up. Ulu means to spread, to grow. So don't just plant a small plant, but plant the tree. They say when you plant ulu, you don't feed today, but you feed multiple generations. See, 80 years, you planted a tree, an ulu tree that feeds today. What plant will you plant now? Your birthday's on the 10th. But today is the opportunity to plant the tree, to plant the ulu tree for future generations. Now, what you plant is what we eventually reap, right? And so, this month happens to be called Mahoe Hope. The month before is Mahoe Mua. This is important because one says forward, one says back. One says first, one says follow. Why is this important? Because this month recognizes the weather is rainy and windy. That just kind of started, right? It was windy a couple days. It started raining a lot. Interesting enough, natural time. Regardless of what we say, boom, here it is. Our kupuna have been watching this for thousands of years, and sure enough, that's what happened. All right? This is also when the sugarcane blossoms. But remember what I said, look up? There's also look down. Because when we look up at the sugarcane blossoms, we call the pua ko. The pua ko, or ko'ula, the red sugarcane blossom. When that happens, it tells us that the octopus is ready to be captured. This is beginning the octopus season. What happens on the mountains is happening in the sea. If I want to know what to catch in the ocean, I look to the mountains. If I want to know what's going on in the ocean, I look to the mountains. And vice versa. If I'm in the sea, I look to the ocean. When I see the he'e, I say, oh, the sugarcane is blossoming. Right? These are the connections. We are all related. Upstream to downstream. When things look down, look up. And when you understand what's going down here, look up. You see that? Our kupuna were very wise in this way. They made the connections. We're all connected. And so this reminds me of a term, Wa Ma Mua, Wa Ma Hope. Say this with me, Wa Ma Mua, Wa Ma Hope. The past is in the future is in the past. Interesting enough, Ma Mua. Ma Mua means the time before. Right? So here's the timeline. I'm standing in the present. The time before yesterday and years before, which is actually yesterday. Ma Mua. The time before now, which is the past. Mahoe Hope. The time after, the time that follows the present, which is tomorrow. Right? So if I want to understand where I'm going tomorrow, it's important to know where I came from. I need to honor my past in order to navigate the future. But in either to do either one, honor the past and prepare for the future, I have to be present. If I'm not present, forget it. Right? Wa Ma Mua, Wa Ma Hope. And so when you put these together, Wa Ma Mua, Ma Hope, you become a full cup. You don't just get half the deal. You see? And what this shows is face to face. The past is looking at the future as much as the future is looking at the past. What we do today is going to affect those tomorrow. What those our ancestors did before affect us today. Regardless of what we want to what we want to claim, good, bad, or indifferent, it's all us. This is who we are. How we deal with that, how we respond to the gifts of good, bad, or indifferent, will also help those in the future deal with what we leave with them. This is a reminder that our behavior is important, not just to us now, but to those that follow, as well as to our ancestors that set the tone for us. Right? Wa Ma Mua, Wa Ma Hope. And so the Makahiki season was very much a part of this for our kupuna, a very important time of year, because this is shortly after. In fact, we're entering this phase now, the difference between kau and ho'ilo. Ho'ilo is the time of wet, while kau is the time of dry. So we're just moving into that time period right now. And it was shortly thereafter that Makahiki, this was the sign that Makahiki was coming. So important was this time that our kupuna built monoliths. They built huge structures to honor and help them understand this. This is a heiau called Hapaiali'i on the island of Hawaii. This is at Keauhou. Interesting enough, Keauhou means the new beginning. This heiau, Hapaiali'i, talks about how these stones, you see those little stones up there? Right on those little corners. Now, mind you, this heiau was only rebuilt and reintroduced recently. It had been in disrepair for hundreds of years. And the minute they put it back together, I happened to be there the first summer solstice that it was. See those two rocks right there? The sun sat right in the middle of those two rocks. It didn't know that the machine had been broken for 600 years. It just kept on coming and coming and coming. In other words, our kupuna would stand here and watch as the sun would drop right on top or in between any of those stones. It would tell us when the arrival of Kane, Ku, Lono, or Kanaloa were here. Because all of these kupuna, all of these deities represented the different time periods. They guided us. When Kane was present, we did certain things. When Ku was present, we did certain things. And when Lono arrived, that was Makahiki. This was it. And I go back. So once again, this is a clock. Much like that one in England. You know the big round one? Yeah. That's ours over here. Yeah. So they look to the heavens in order to tell them what to do. Is it time to plant? Is it time to fight? Is it time for sleep? What time is it? This was natural time versus artificial time. And when that thing was broken, we started going, we started doing this. And for some reason, things weren't in sync. But the minute we went back to that, it's all in sync. Again, like I said, after hundreds of years of being in disrepair, when they put the two rocks together, the sun dropped right where it's supposed to be, or where we're supposed to be, right? And so this is the time, Makahiki, when the different deity, the different seasons would leave. And this Makahiki is the time of Lono. And Reverend Tim, you did a great job talking us about bringing us into that last week. The time of Lono. But Lono is known as the god or the deity of fertility, agriculture, rainfall, music, peace, and love, all of these things. But more so this concept of peace. Peace, that's the powerful concept. So in other words, Makahiki is also the time of peace. It is a time for us to reflect. It is a time for us to do different things. And what we do during this time of Makahiki is determined by each of these months. There are 4 months. Now, depending on which calendar, where we are in the procession, it means the moon and the stars is moving. Sometimes it's in November, other times in October. Sometimes it goes from October to February, sometimes it's November to March. It all depends, right? But right now, we are entering in what some calendars call this Ikua, the first month, of the wet periods. The 3 next months are Velehu, Makali'i, and Kaelo. Each one has a particular characteristics. For instance, Ikua, the loud voice. That's when the thunder and lightning happens. All right? Velehu, the sifting of the ashes. This is because it was so wet and rainy outside that the families would come in and begin to move the ashes in their homes and begin to stoke the fires because it's beginning to get cold. This is the time to bring family in together. You can't do that when you're fighting. Right? Makali. That's the time that we're waiting for. That's the time when Pleiades, also known as Makali, appears on the horizon. It reminds us, now is the time. This is the time Lono returns from Tahiti. And interesting enough, each one of these entities is anchored in Tahiti. They come and they go. They come and they go. But what's interesting, Tahiti is not Tahiti as we know it, but the place of our ancestors. It's someplace much farther out. It's anywhere but here. That's Kahiki. It is an ancient time. It is a place of Po and the place of darkness. And from that place of darkness, they bring the light. That's what we wait for every year. That's the Maka that we're looking for. Kaelo, soggy and drenchy. That's kind of like January. That's when everything is wet. Right? It's just slosh, 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 drench, 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 a lot of rain. And so just by each of these words, these concepts, these ancient words, as you acclaimed earlier today, these guide us, they direct us, but we have to listen. We need to go back and understand what they mean what we say and say what we mean. So I said Ikua. When we talk about Ikua is actually a time of cleansing. It's not just this coming month, but it's actually an entire period of the 4 months I just talked about. Ikua is when the thunder and lightning happens in the mountains, and anyone knows that the time during Ikua is not the time to go hiking. And yet the helicopters fly every day to go pick people up. Somebody's not watching. Right? We need to pay attention. Ikua is the time when the waters from the mountain and rain washes all the things that fell during the fall and takes all the things that have died and fallen out to the sea. The cleansing of the land. This is Ikua. I'm repeating. I told some of you this before. Right? But Ikua, this is a shift from the dry to the wet. The replenishing of the mind and spirit when we've gone without for too long. The dry to the wet. And Ikua is a time when the surfers know you don't go surfing during this time. Why? Who remembers the story? That's right. The land is cleansing. Life is about balance. And all the food is going to the ocean. Guess who's cleansing the ocean? The Mano. Right? These are the big ocean sea cleaners that come in and say, food, Right? They know that nature has been feeding them. So natural time, brother, Ikua, let's go eat. And they come swimming in close to the shore, and we, in artificial time, invite all of our friends from the mainland and say, come, go surf with the fish. Cold in the mainland, warm over here, swim with the ocean, yeah. Help us clean the ocean. You see what happens when you pay attention? Natural time and artificial time. The time of cleansing. Mountain and sea. Body and mind and spirit. It's all connected. So after Ikua, we have this time, and then all of a sudden this thing appears. Makali'i. This is the time to clear the patches for the next planting. What does that sound like? To clear the patches for the next planting. Sounds like weeding to me. Yeah? So one thing I always remember my dad said, get in here, time for weed. That's why none of my friends like to come to the house, because next morning they're always weeding with us in the yard. But we have to weed. Sometimes we have to take all the stuff out in order to prepare. Sometimes remove the old plants to put the new plants in. This is Makahiki. This is the renewal. This is what we're going through. This is what you are now as a family of unity, the Ohana, as you celebrate your 80th anniversary, the time to clean out the old and plant the new. The time to honor the past, but prepare for the future with anticipation and hope. Because Makali'i, the little eyes, refers not to those just 7 sisters, the little eyes themselves, but it's about us looking at Makavalu, the little eyes within us. How do we see the world? It asks us to look at things differently and not just be guided by the things that brought us here before, called supply side thought. The things that we've been supplied with is what we tend to view the world through. That's the lenses. Makali'i is a time to redo the lens, to think about looking at things differently. This is Makali'i. The time to clear the patches for the next planting. Interesting enough, it's also the time to plant potato. Oftentimes they say whether it's taro or potato, uala. And what do potatoes have? Eyes. This is the time for potatoes. Potato, tomato, tomato, who knows? Whatever you call it, right? Potatoes. So with that little history and the instruction, I bring us to our title, the time of Re. And what do I mean by that? So if we follow each one of those months and the things that we're doing in those months, and we begin to look at this as the time of retreat. This is when we retreat from the land and we begin to go back and we start taking things out, put our weapons away, start going into the house, start cleaning things up, because it's a time to reflect, to look in. We've been looking out all year long. Now is the time to go in, to reflect and look at. It is also, as the prayer this morning said, to relax. The time is to relax. We've been working so hard all year. It's now the time to retreat, reflect, and relax. And during that time of relaxation, it is also the time to restore. Now, that doesn't mean putting stuff in the pantry. That's part of it. To restore the pantry, but to restore the soul, to restore the spirit, to restore my faith, restore my hope, to restore my relationships. Now is the time. Because once we can restore, that's when we can begin to renew. It is through the healing, as the word says today, to heal in order to be new. Because unfortunately, I don't think we can go back. There really is no going back anywhere. There is moving forward, and we can bring things from the past that we prefer and begin to project them onto our futures. That's the difference. We have the opportunity to do that. But we are not our artifacts.
Amen.
We are not our artifacts. And caution, because the minute we do, we become artifacts. Culture is live. We are alive. And therefore, we must live in the present, honor the past, and look to the future, not to be artifacts, but to be present. And to be able to do that. And so when you start looking at the time of Re, what we're really saying is step back. Look within, let go, heal, and begin again. This is the time of Makahiki, the natural time. You see, it's not just the time, but it's the behavior. So it's the time to retreat, so what do? You step back. When it's time to reflect, what do? You look within. And here's what's interesting. To really understand that, we're going to explore the word itself. Makahiki. Ever say it? Makahiki. Makahiki. So as I've told you before, Hawaiian is rooted. There's multiple root words, and each word has its own energy and power, has its own meaning. And when you unpackage the word, stuff gets revealed. Revealed. Right? And in the process of being revealed, we rediscover. And in rediscovering Makahiki, look at this. From root to fruit, the root word produces things that become nutritious for us. Everybody say E. Ah and E, fire and water. This is the time between fire and water, hot and cold, dry and wet. Makahiki. Now, those two root words. All right? It is Makahiki. Go. Makahiki. Yeah, each one has its own meaning. Ma means internal. Ka is the notion of traveling. Hiki is the notion of water. You know why ki? The water shoots up. It's the rising, the standing up of this energy called this. He is the thing that moves up through us, as in hua and he. Wahine. That part of us that creates the life-giving waters. That's wahine, female, feminine. Okay, everyone say Makahiki. See, how you say the word in what order is very important. Makahiki. Ma is internal, the place within. Kahiki, the place that we came from. Makahiki is the time that we look to where we came from. In other words, our origins. It says, who are we? This is the time for identity. Redefine, reframe, refocus. Who am I? Who are we together? Makahiki. Right? This one, next one. Makahiki, go. Makahiki. Maka, to watch and look for. Hiki, an anticipation of the arrival. Hiki is, oh yeah, that works. Hiki no, it works. Okay, that's good. But hiki also means to arrive, to appear, to show up. You know, part of life, success, most of it is just about showing up. Right? You don't show up, it don't get done. So the reality is, we anticipate you to show up. If you don't show up, you don't eat. That's just part of the family dynamics, right? As family. You hungry? Show up. We'll feed you. Pretty good breakfast too, I heard. So then there's Makahiki. Makahi. Kahi is the first thing within us that rose up. That first shot, the first arrow, the first bow, that's Makahiki, the first thing. This is the first place that our ancestors come from. Something that our ancestors came from this place called the Pleiades, Makahiki. And therefore, this time of Makahiki is anticipating. This is the first opportunity for us to reflect. Everyone say Aka. Aka is the shadow. Aka is the spider's web that connects us. Aka is the mirror. It's the reflection. Remember the time of reflection. In the word Makahiki is the word Aka, reflect. But it also means reflect on our connections. Like the spider web, every one of us is connected. And everyone on that screen up there, everyone that's connected, all worldwide watching us right now, we're all connected. This is Aka. Yeah. Ahi, everyone say Ahi. Ahi is fire, it's heat, not just a fish. Ahi, aloha ahi ahi. We say good evening, the fire is going out, that's the sun. So within Makahiki, it talks about the fires of when, the fires of the home, the fires of the heart, the fires of the mind and spirit that gets stoked during this time. To reconnect to that fire within. Now here's an interesting one. Everyone say Iki. Hold your baby finger up. Iki. Baby finger. Okay? Interesting because word Iki and Ili, Li'i, are all the same. There's little. Makali'i, Makaiki, Makahiki. Iki, Ili, small. In other words, Makahiki and Makali'i are synonymous. And it also reminds us that sometimes we think we're a little bit too big than the next guy. It reminds us that really we're very small in the eyes of God. We're in the eyes of the world. We're very, very small. And it's when we connect to that thing much larger than us that we become family, that we begin to be nui. That's when we become family. And so each one of us, Iki, tied together, becomes the hand that feeds others. This is the time to come together, to put our weapons down, to shake hands, to hug, to play music, to dance hula, and to make peace. This is Makahiki. You see? So the land of the ancestors, this was Makahiki. But more importantly, this concept that Kahiki has 5 different levels. So I told you there are 5 different reasons, but Kahiki had these 5 things. I'm not going to go through it all, but I want you to know it. Kahiki moi, kahiki ku, kahiki kapapanu, kahiki papalani. Each one of these things talks about the different levels of our relationship to the heavens and the skies. One is the horizon, one is just above that, one is above that, and one is right above me. Kahiki kapu I holani ke kuina. That says immediately above me is God. I am connected directly to this. That is Kahiki, the place of origin that we all came from. This is the time to reconnect to the place that we all came from. The true source of life. That's what that is. And it talks about the connection, all right? And so there isn't an accident in the words we use. Makahiki, a time to anticipate. Now, Reverend Tim talked about the different times. During Makahiki, there are three things. There's a time to ho'okupu, to give gifts and to appreciate what was given to us. This is honoring the deity. This is honoring the past, honoring God and giving us the strength, the food, the nutrition, our families, and saying thank you. This is the time of mahalo, the time of gratitude. Right? But then there's a time to enjoy all of the stuff that we've been doing. That's the time of celebration when we hula, we sing, we dance, we play. We love. We do all of that during this time. This is the time of peace. But then we plan for the future. Va'auhau. This is the time. Va'auhau is when you get in the kunu and get ready to go. The term va or wa is a time. This is the time to give offerings to ensure this is tithing. This is all about tithing. This is about making sure that we have invested in our future. We've taken from the past. But now it's time to give to the future. Interesting enough, we received from the past, we give to the future. Those two words themselves put together, to receive and give, that's the definition of aloha. That's it. To give and receive. Not take, but to receive and to give. This is aloha. So Makahiki is a time for aloha. If ever there was a time, it's now. The time is Makahiki. And that we want to make sure that we're doing this. And because this is the time, and you referenced it last week, ho'oponopono. Ho'oponopono, the time to make right, to put things in proper order. Because ho'oponopono is when things are in proper alignment. Can you imagine? When things are in proper alignment, stuff's going to happen now. All right? When everything, it doesn't matter how big or small, when we start rotating, when we start spinning at the same speed, at the same tempo, in rhythm and harmony, things start happening. Right? In unity. Not in word, but in action. Easy to say unity, hard to make it happen. Because it's all about alignment. And sometimes the big guy in the middle thinks he's the one in charge. But believe it or not, everybody has a role in how this universe and this galaxy spins, right? If one person spins out, the whole thing crashes. Like our musicians. Can you imagine going to the ballet and the dancer's doing a wonderful flow and the guy in the back playing the timpani goes, boom. Whoa. One out-of-step rhythm. Somebody sneeze, somebody call, hey! I don't care how long that person practiced, how good you think you may be, one person makes a difference. During Makahiki, we embrace everybody. We bring everybody into the canoe. We bring everybody home, and we aloha them. Because this is the time of maluhia. Everybody say maluhia. Maluhia. Interesting enough, when you unpackage the word maluhia, it's more than just peace. Look at what maluhia means. It means serenity, stillness, peaceful, tranquility, safety, security, quiet. And kapu. Kapu means respect. Kapu means respect. See, so oftentimes we use the word peace and we're talking about in the absence of war, when really peace means much more than that. Right? Makahiki is a time for maluhia, to take cover under the things that nurture us. Like the mother hen that covers her chicks when the fox comes by. Right? It's being able to cover, to take cover, malu, during this time of peace. There is a riddle in Hawaiian, ho'oponopono. Ke kala o'uka, ke kala o'aina, ke kala o'kai. One talks about the mountains, one talks of the midlands, one talks of the sea. But the metaphor for this is kala. Release, cut, forgive, let go, in mind, body, and spirit. These are the three levels of ho'oponopono. To unify those three things, you have to let go. And in the word kala, that means to release. Kala, ho'okala, huikala, kalana. These are things we've talked about in the past. But I want you to recognize kala, 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 kala. That's the color of the day. Right? Is to kala, is to release. Because we don't want to take the old furniture into the new house. Then we wonder why we got termites in the new house. Right? We have to let the old go in order to move into the new. But here's the deal. I understand it. It's simple but not easy. Letting go is hard. But, sometimes holding on is harder. Right? Everything around us is telling us let go, and yet we hold on and hold on and hold on. And then we wonder why the newness can't enter the room. We have to get rid of the old furniture to invite the new furniture. Otherwise, it gets really crowded. Yeah? We have to create space where, not just in the room, in our minds and in our hearts. Because by creating space, the new can happen. This is Makahiki. Heva, Eha, the pains and everything, if we don't let those go, like the bowling ball, the chain, they just hold us back like an anchor, and we drag ourselves into the future, always connected to the past. It takes strength. It takes will. The weak can never forgive, he says. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. Makahiki, it's time to be strong. Time to put the weapons down and have strength in our faith, in our ability to love, to ho'oponopono, to make right, to become aligned once again with others, breaking the chains of the past. Ho'oki, ho'oki, ho'o. Ho'o is to do, oki, to cut, to break, to free ourselves from the chains of the past, expectations, fears, anxieties, and begin to look at the aspirations and the hope of the future. And so let me close out with this. Ho'okala, this is a concept of forgiveness. This is the time. Makahiki is the time to ho'okala, to forgive. To do that, sometimes we have to we have to dig into the deep, dark places of our minds and our hearts. It's not easy, but it's something we need to do. And in the process of digging, we find and release things. Because kaulana, let go. This is the time to let go of those things. Release. Right? Set it free, and in doing so, we are set free. We've heard that before. And in doing so, something replaces it. Release and replace with something of equal or greater value. And that greater thing that we replace the fear and anxiety with is mana olana. We call that hope. Everyone say hope. Hope. And that's what it is. We hope. With hope and faith, mana o i'o. With hope and faith, we step into the future, knowing that we can let go of the past as we honor it. But at the same time, plant seeds to get us to the next place, to feed ourselves as well as future generations. That's the power of ohana. That's the kuleana of ohana. Family, it's not just to take care of ourselves, but to take care of those around us and the families that we live. Everyone say hoaka. Hoaka. Two different ways. And the way you say that gives you the manifestation. Hoaka. We come out of Makahiki and we shine. Brand new. This is the time of renewal. And if we do it right, we hoaka. We laugh about it. We have a good time. We smile. We enjoy one another's presence. This is the time of hoaka. To laugh. Right? To be pleasant. To be present. This is Makahiki. Right? And so, going back to the past to bring us to the future, your monthly mantra, divine zeal. Zeal is the affirmative impulse of existence. Its command is go forward. So with that, I close my thoughts for today and sharing with you by saying Holomua. Because in Hawaiian, Holomua means improvement. It also means progress. But most of all, it means go forward. Holomua. 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 Thank you.